After April 25, 1945, Adolf Hitler's sole purpose in life was to prepare for his death. He called his bodyguard, Heinz Linge, and said, "I have shot myself. Take my body to the Chancellery Garden and set it on fire. After my death, no one should see or recognize me." He further instructed his bodyguard, "Then go back to my room and collect my uniform, my documents, and everything I have used. Burn it all. Only Anton Graf's oil painting of Frederick the Great should not be touched. My driver will safely take it out of Berlin after my death." In his final days, Hitler lived in a bunker 50 feet underground. He only went to the Chancellery Garden to walk his beloved dog, Blondie. During his last days, Hitler would go to sleep at 5 or 6 in the morning and wake up in the afternoon. His personal assistant, Traudl Junge, stayed with him in the bunker until the end. "The last 10 days were like a nightmare for us," Junge later recalled. "We were hiding in a bunker while the Russian army was closing in. We could easily hear the sounds of their gunfire, bombs, and weapons. Hitler sat in the bunker hoping that God would save him. But one thing he had made clear was that if he did not win the war, he would never leave Berlin and would take his own life. So we all knew what was coming. On April 22, 1945, Hitler told everyone they could leave Berlin if they wanted to. His girlfriend, Eva Braun, was the first to say, "You know I am not going to leave you. I will stay here." Junge said she also uttered the same words. Hitler had changed. At that time, Hitler's Minister of Armaments, Albert Speer, visited the bunker to say his final goodbye. Later, in his memoirs, Speer described how much Hitler had changed in his final days. In his last days, Hitler was in such a state that one could only pity him. His whole body trembled, and his shoulders were slumped, his clothes were dirty, and most importantly, he was emotionally numb. "I had come to say goodbye, knowing this would be our last meeting. But he did not say anything that would touch my heart." Robert Payne, the author of The Life and Death of Adolf Hitler, described Hitler's condition at that time. Hitler's entire face was swollen, and deep wrinkles had formed. The light in his eyes had faded. He looked like an old vulture, sitting motionless. The most striking thing about his appearance was that he staggered like a drunkard. He had aged 10 years in just 1 month. Hitler's marriage to Eva Braun. In the bunker, Hitler decided to marry Eva Braun. Payne wrote, "The question was who would officiate the wedding. Hitler remembered that Joseph Goebbels had married through Walter Wagner, but the problem was finding him. A soldier was sent to bring Wagner to the bunker, but he forgot to bring the marriage certificate. Wagner had to go back to his house to get it, even as the Russian bombardment continued. The wedding certificate was eventually signed on April 29th, but the date was incorrect. It should have been April 30th since it was past midnight. The wedding ceremony was attended by Hitler's 2 personal aides, his vegetarian cook, Martin Bormann, Goebbels, Magda Goebbels, General Krebs, and General Bergdorf. Everyone raised their glasses to wish Eva and Hitler well. Eva drank a lot of wine that day, but Hitler only took a sip and reminisced about the past. He recalled Goebbels' wedding. Then suddenly his mood changed. He said, "Everything is over. Everyone has betrayed me." Hitler's final moments. On the morning of April 30th, 1945, Hitler woke up refreshed, like a prisoner sentenced to death who sleeps soundly before their execution. He shaved and then met with his generals, telling them, "The end is near. The Soviet army can storm our bunker at any moment." He then summoned Professor Werner Hasse to confirm whether his cyanide capsules were effective. Hasse suggested testing them on Blondie, Hitler's beloved German shepherd. After the experiment, Hasse informed Hitler that the poison was effective. Blondie had died within seconds. Hitler did not have the courage to watch his beloved dog die. After Blondie's death, her body and her 6 puppies were placed in a box and taken to the Chancellery Garden. The puppies were still clinging to their mother. At 2:30 p.m., Hitler had his last meal. Otto Günsche was ordered to bring 200 liters of gasoline to burn the bodies. After eating, Hitler met his staff one last time. Without making eye contact, he shook hands with them. Eva was with him, wearing a dark blue dress and Italian pearl-embellished shoes, with a platinum watch on her wrist. Then they both went into their room. At that moment, Magda Goebbels screamed that Hitler should not kill himself. She pleaded for a chance to speak to him. Hitler's bodyguard, Gerhard Bolt, later wrote in the Shelter with Hitler, Hitler's bodyguard, Gunsche, was over 6 feet tall and looked like a gorilla. Magda was so insistent on meeting Hitler that Gunsche finally decided to open the door. The bodyguard asked Hitler, "Would you like to see Magda?" Hitler replied, "I do not want to meet anyone." Eva was not in the room at that moment. Perhaps she was in the bathroom, as the sound of running water could be heard. Then the door was shut again. Heinz Linge, who was standing outside, did not know when exactly Hitler would shoot himself, but he smelled a faint whiff of gunpowder. Suddenly someone whispered, "Linge, Linge, Hitler is gone." Perhaps they had heard the gunshot, but Linge did not. Everyone was whispering. Then Hitler's personal secretary, Bormann, signaled for us to open the door. I saw Hitler's head on the table. His face had turned yellow. It seemed that in his final moments he had reached for something, as a vase had fallen and shattered. Eva Braun was lying on the sofa. She wore a dark blue and white dress. I will never forget that scene. Burning Hitler's body, Linge wrapped Hitler's body in a sheet and carried it through the emergency exit to the Chancellery Garden. Bormann carried Eva Braun's body. As they passed by me carrying Hitler's body, his legs were dangling. Someone shouted at me to come up quickly. They were setting the boss on fire, but I did not go up. Ian Kershaw, Hitler's biographer, wrote, "All of Hitler's final companions in the bunker watched the scene through the doorway. As his body was set on fire, everyone raised their hands and shouted, 'Heil Hitler! Long live Hitler!' before returning to the bunker. At that moment, strong winds were blowing. The flames were fueled with more gasoline and burned for 2.5 hours. At 11 p.m., Gunsche ordered officers from the superior services to bury the charred remains. A few days later, when Soviet